Okay, can everyone see my slides okay?
Yeah.
Hosted Pbx Overview. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Louise O'Flynn. I'm an account manager in Strencom. I'll be hosting this webinar today with Anthony Tatton, who's sales director for IP Telecom. I have 3 slides that I'd like to go through briefly at the start. First off will be an overview of Strencom. Most people on the call would be aware of Strencom, but some might not. Just a quick overview. The second slide will just go through the partnership between Strencom and IP Telecom. And the third slide will just cover support. From then we'll go straight into Anthony's presentation and for him to show us and share the platform, the IP Telecom platform, and the functionality that goes with the platform, including the integrated teams. So just the overview of Strencom. We solve business disrupting security and network pain. Strencom are experts in providing managed connectivity and managed cloud solutions. We've been in an operation for over 20 years, and our ethos that we live by is that we won't let you down. And this has given us great success and unique partnerships with our customers. The network is the foundation on which businesses build their communications and access critical applications, especially as we move more and more services to the cloud. This is where we feel Strencom excel. So the partnership between Strencom and IP Telecom is in place since 2015. Our common goal when working with any of our partners is to understand the needs of our customers and what we've seen over the last 12 months is a major shift in how companies are working and how end users are working. And we've seen that the end user has been forced to embrace change along the way. We listened to our customers, and you told us that your organization's really starting to embrace Microsoft Teams, which empowers your people by bringing everything together in a shared workspace. Our partnership with IP Telecom gives a simple add-on to Office 365, giving the end user the experience for everything. Strencom was one of the chosen few resellers of IP Telecom's platform because of the support, knowledge, and qualified engineers we have in place. This gives our customers the ability to deal with one vendor, one support desk, and one billing system. Our support has always performed above the bar for our customers and our account management team. We're not a call center. When you pick up the phone, you talk directly to a qualified, highly qualified telco engineer. We have a very mature process in place to provide these existing services to our existing customers and new customers. All add moves and changes are done through our NOC in Cork with an SLA built in. It's business as usual for us. You'll get the same level of support that you currently receive for all your other services. Our Strencom engineering team have years of experience with VoIP services, which is voice over IP. And this is why we feel the partnership that we have done with IP Telecom is a perfect fit for Strencom. IP Telecom's platform with our highly qualified support team managing the whole experience end-to-end for our customers. So I'm going to hand over now. That's just a brief overview of Strencom and how our relationship came about with IP Telecom. So I'll hand over now to Anthony and we'll get straight into the platform itself.
Thanks, Louise. IP Telecom are in business since 2010. We've about 5,500 businesses on the platform around the country, ranging in size from SME up to multi-site, multinational. What is VoIP? I think everybody at this point knows what VoIP is in some fashion, whether they're making WhatsApp phone calls or Skype or whatever they've been using down the years. But the big news around it is that from 2025, all phone calls across Europe will be via VoIP. So the entire PSTN network is being disbanded. Companies are going to have to move regardless. So that what it does is it enables companies to utilize a lot of the other solutions available to them for remote working and that. What is IP Telecom's hosted phone system? So our cloud-based phone system is a platform as a service. So think of your Microsoft 365, your Google Apps, your Salesforce, whatever you pay a monthly subscription for on a per user per month basis. That's what IP Telecom's cloud-based phone system is. Leading edge, technically brilliant, all those great buzzwords. And then the kind of features, a host of features for your business, connect multiple locations, unlimited free calling to Ireland and the UK. We don't charge for calls to Ireland and the UK. You keep your phone numbers, non-geo numbers. You're able to add new users anytime from anywhere. And then you can record, hold, transfer calls. In some cases, you can keep the hardware that you've got, and that's going to be a big factor for a lot of companies, and it has been over the last 9 or 10 months. It's been a big factor. Security, never missing a call, and integration with a host of other business software. So what I'll do in a sec is I'll actually fire up the hosted Pbx platform to give you a look at what it is we're talking about and the differences. Am I able to take control of this, Louise? I am,
yeah. Yeah, work away.
Let's see how this goes.
Just before you jump in, do you mind if I just say that there's on the chat on the right-hand side, if anybody has questions, that you might post them there, and Anthony will answer them afterwards.
Yeah. So IP Telecom's hosted PBX, as I said, it's a platform as a service, software as a service in the cloud. A lot of companies will talk about a hosted phone system or a hosted PBX. And hosted basically means they're putting a PBX or a server either in a data center or not on your premises. So they're hosting it for you. There are large proprietary brands out there that traditionally did an on-prem PBX. You're talking your ShoreTels, your Avaya, your Cisco Call Manager. All of those products are now available as a hosted PBX, a hosted phone system. The difference between that and something like this is that is a proprietary product. You're still buying the same tin, you're still investing in the hardware and the servers, and it's a single point of failure, number one, but also in time, it's going to depreciate and it's going to need to be replaced. It's not the same as buying a cloud platform PBX as a service. Therefore, your capex is practically non-existent with this kind of a solution. So when one of our customers logs into the back end of their PBX, they're logging into the same platform as all our other customers. They're all on the same platform. So there's all our sub-customers that can access the PBX by logging in themselves. The phone system is basically an app store. So you have access to the standard apps, your smart PBX, your voicemail manager, your advanced provisioner. Some apps are premium apps. You pay a little bit extra for every month if you want them. Things like call recording, you can pop in there. All our calls are housed in AWS. And you can go into your stored recordings. You can play the call, download the call, delete it. And depending on the option that you go for, you can have 2-year, 5-year, or 7-year retention of calls. So you just pay your bit extra and away you go. That's your call recording. You have call center, stat center, CRM integration, things like Zoho, Salesforce, Zapier, Slack, and Zendesk. At the moment, because IP Telecom are a software house, we're developing new integrations all the time. We've had the Microsoft Teams integration for the last couple of years. Before that, it was Skype for Business, right back to Microsoft Link. We were offering integrations with back in the day. If there's a software requirement there for an integration and it's scalable, then we will look to do that. Your app exchange is there. You can go in if you've got developers. There's a lot can be done on the back end of this platform. We have customers that have We've given access to the back end via the APIs, and they've done their own integrations into e-commerce on their websites and whatever else. So there's a lot of really nice stuff that you can do there. But for your normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill phone system requirements, everything kind of runs here in Smart PBX. So you can see in this particular account, there's 37 users, and there are 216 devices across those users. We have SIP phones, they're just standard desk phones, Yealink, Cisco, Polycom, Grandstream. You have Microsoft Teams, 46 devices. So some people will be using Teams integration into the phone system on their desktop. Others will be using it on their mobile, and some will use it on tablets or iPads. We have a different soft phone. If you're not a Microsoft Teams house, you don't need to be. If you want to look at using a soft phone, we have an alternative offering which allows you to have the same soft phone functionality as using Teams. Basically gives you your desk phone, but instead of it being a physical phone, it's an app on your desktop or your mobile. Again, a lot of people will be familiar with some of this technology. For others, it'll be fairly new. Conference bridges are built in here. Everybody in the company gets their own conference bridge. Your normal day-to-day strategy for managing the system, your hours, your time of day, settings, office holidays. It's very intuitive. As you can see, it's all that stuff that you would have paid companies years ago to get engineers to come on site to play around with the phone system every time you wanted to change, is now done in the back end of this software, logging in, and all your support is done via Telecom. IP Telecom have a handful of really high-end partner resellers that we've trained extensively on the solution, and that's who deliver the service to you. That's who install it, configure it, and support it then afterwards with IP Telecom in the background supporting Telecom. So your calls come in, they can go to a virtual receptionist. Hi, you're through to Telecom. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. When it does that, it hits your groups. And again, I'm just flying through this. This is just an overview of the system very quickly today. We'll get into the Microsoft Teams integration in a few minutes, which I'm sure everybody will want to have a look at. But let's say they hit the auto attendant, higher through to Telecom, press 1 for sales. So they press 1 for sales, and they're your users who are in that group, that ring group. And I might say, well, look, I don't want to be one of the first ones offered the call, but if nobody else answers it after 20 seconds, it can ring me. And they're just your ring groups that are configured in the system. Users, so you can see these are the different users. There's me. That's my extension number internally in the system. That's my direct dial phone number. And they're the devices that are associated with me. So I have a tablet, an iPad with a soft phone on it. I have Microsoft Teams, and then I have a desk phone in my office in Park West in Dublin, which is a Yealink touchscreen handset. I have individual features and functions available to me, like hot desking, conferencing, hold, find me, follow me. These are all things that our PBX in the cloud provides the functionality. So that there are companies out there looking at what are the options available to us. We're heavily invested in Microsoft 365 and Teams. What are the options around voice? If we were to go and throw all our eggs into one basket with Microsoft and buy the calling packs, how would this work? Well, for starters, things like hot desking and find me, follow me, and things like that, having your own extension number, they don't exist in Microsoft phone system land right now. They may do in a few years' time, but the calling packs from Microsoft are very expensive, number one. The functionality of Microsoft's phone system is very limited. Things like call recording, call center, CRM integration, they're not there. I also wouldn't like to be trying to port phone numbers to Microsoft. Microsoft are still Microsoft. They're not Microsoft Telecom's provider. And I wouldn't want to be an early adapter trying to maybe port, a couple of hundred phone numbers on a Friday evening, and then on a Monday morning your phones aren't ringing because nobody knows where the phone numbers are, and we can't get a hold of anybody in Microsoft. So that's, will they be there in a few years' time? Possibly. But you can be sure it's not going to be cheap, and it's going to be difficult to get a hold of them. So I don't know. Right now, what we're seeing over the last 9 or 10 months is companies scrambling that had the big traditional ShoreTel, MyTel, Cisco Call Manager, NEC, LG Ericsson phone systems on premise, that suddenly found themselves working from home, and those phones couldn't be brought home with them. So you had diverts to mobiles, and you had all sorts of other things going on. And those companies, there was a lot of scramble for them to fire up something like this and to integrate it into their teams to allow them to use all of the features and functionality of our hosted PBX, but with Microsoft Teams as their front end. So to show you what that looks like, if I go to add a user, you've got somebody new starting, you give them a first name, surname, add them to the company directory, they automatically get the next available extension number, email their credentials to them. They're now set up on the system. We want to give them a device. So these are the devices associated with this user. So he's got a mobile, he's a soft phone, he's got a work desk phone, and he's got Microsoft Teams. So that new user that we just set up a second ago, let's add a device for that user. So that user is going to be working from home, working remotely most of the time, maybe in the office a day a week or something. With the new Now, as they call it, let's pick a SIP phone, a desk phone for them, and we'll say Cisco, Polycom, Yealink. We want one of these phones for them with the color screen. We need a MAC address, and we'll give it a name, John123, and that's his phone. And away he goes. It'll configure. But let's say we want to give him a Microsoft Teams. All we need is the DDI for that user, so the direct dial phone number. That's the middleware that IP Telecom have developed into Microsoft Teams. It gets associated with their Teams username, their 365 Teams username. And that's now available in here as a list of devices that are available, and then you associate those devices with the user. So to show you how the Teams integration works, let me try closing this. And window, Teams, share. Can you see that, Louise?
1 second there now, it's just presenting, yeah. I can see history, call history, yeah.
Yeah, so this is my Microsoft Teams. Most people will have Teams working with their calendar and their Teams and all their bits and bobs down the left-hand side. But when they go into the calls part, there won't be a dial pad there for them. The dial pad is what you need to get from Microsoft. It's an add-on module that you request. So this dial pad here, bottom left, you have to acquire that as an add-on license from Microsoft. And once you've acquired that, then we can plug our hosted PBX into the back of it. So that's my direct dial number, that 015175709. That's my call history from this morning. It'll come up.
Do you want to ring me, John, or ring me, Anthony?
I'll give you a ring, Louise. I'm going to ring your mobile. 08
086 818 6226.
818
6226.
226. Okay. So I'm going to dial this. The number you're looking for calling you will be this landline number.
Your DDI number, yeah.
Yeah. So you tell me if that works.
Yeah, 517-5709. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm there, yeah. Great. So I'll just hang up there.
Yeah, we'll hang that up. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, so you can see that there in my call history as an outbound call. So your end user, your member of staff that's now sitting at home with a headset, they've been using Zoom and they've been using Teams and they've been using their mobiles, but they haven't been able to use their direct dial phone number that's sitting on the PBX back in the office with the phone on the desk. They now have their phone on Teams. That's the difference. They can make an outbound call using their DDI. Louise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a second. So I'm back here, as everybody can see. And I'm going to ask you to just
ring back your DDI.
Mobile, ring back that DDI number. And I'm going to hold the Teams on my mobile to the camera. And you should be able to see you calling me. You see that?
It's going directly into the Teams app on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, put it on the desktop here as well. I'll just cancel it.
Yeah.
It's ringing on my my Teams app on my mobile and on the Teams app on the desktop. The beauty of that is you don't have to pay per device. So you pay Microsoft for the phone system plugin, and you can have it on as many devices as you want. So that's the team piece. Let me just go back to that to just, where's that going?
Well, you're doing that, Anthony. You know, some companies, you know, as you spoke about earlier, about have made a big investment in a lot of infrastructure like call managers and handsets and all the rest of it. You know, for a huge workforce. So they're looking at cloud, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Is there any recommendation that you give to a company looking at it?
Yeah. So look, I would have met companies a year and a half ago, and I would have demoed this for them, and they would have seen the savings, and they would have thought this was the best thing ever. And then they'd look and they go, Jesus, this ShoreTel, we only bought it 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet. We'd really like this solution. We'd like to embrace people working from home, but do you know what? If it's not broke, let's not try and fix it. And those companies came out of the woodwork in April and May calling me going, how do we set this up? How can we leave the ShoreTel or the whatever phone system we've got, the Avaya, in the offices there for when we go back? Or if we're in there a day a week or whatever, how can we leave that there, but also utilize this? And we were able to say, well, okay, out of your 200, 300 staff, who are the 30 people that need to be making and taking calls, using their DDI numbers, all that kind of stuff. And we're able to do a hybrid. We're able to fire up a solution for them very quickly that allowed them to use this when they're working remotely and working from home, and then to do a divert from their DDI into this and give them temporary DDI sitting here, you know. So there's there's lots of ways. So that was for companies that had already looked at it and found themselves in April, May going, well, we're actually quite happy to get rid of the ShoreTel altogether, but we're not even in the office now. How can we just move now to everybody working from home? We've a company, a trustees company with over 100 staff in Dublin. They've made the decision not to go back at all, full stop, to the office. And they had the beauty of already being on this platform. So when it hit March 12th, some of them unplugged their phones, brought them home with them. Others just brought the laptops home and they had Microsoft Teams already integrated. And they've made the decision they're not going back. So anybody that had a desk phone, it's getting shipped out to them. Because this platform of ours, you see, it's very easy for an end user to look at this and go, Jesus, this is brilliant. Aren't Microsoft great? They've delivered this to us, and you know, I can look at what Microsoft Teams does for me. But actually, I can dial extension. Let me see if Rory answers on extension 135. Now, you can't do this in Teams if you don't have a PBX plugged into it.
Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Rory. Thanks, man. Just doing a quick demo.
No problem.
Cheers. So you can't do this in Teams unless you've got a phone system plugged into it. The Microsoft product, the Microsoft calling packs, doesn't have extensions because their PBX, their phone system capability doesn't recognize extensions because there is no phone system, there is no PBX. So you've got the ability to have extensions, DDIs, you can have devices, you can have all of that. And as you can see from the call history there, it means you're not jumping completely away from what you've got already with your current setup. But you might have companies who have hardware, Cisco Call Manager hardware, where some of the handsets might be compatible with this solution. Some of them might not. Something like an NEC or an Avaya, probably not. But any kind of generic SIP handsets, I think you get the picture here of the Teams part anyway. Really, all this is your desk phone. This is just acting as the Teams is acting as your desk phone. Yeah, your end user can live, eat, sleep, breathe in Microsoft 365 and be completely unaware that behind it all, I'll just go back and show you that behind it all, it's actually
the platform.
This platform. And we go into call logs. 109 was dialing 135. All right. 51757009 received an inbound call that lasted 13 seconds from Louise, and 109 made an outbound call to Louise that lasted 12 seconds. And there's I can listen to the call recording. So it's actually IP Telecom's hosted PBX that's doing all the legwork. It's just Teams is your end point, in the same way as when we go into devices and we add a device, it can be a Cisco phone. If it's one of these, we can reuse it. If it's a Cisco UC, we probably can't. They tend to be tied into the call manager, but we can reuse a lot of stuff. We can reuse Grand Streams, H-Tech, Obahai, Polycom. Again, we'd have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. But today is really just a look under the bonnet for companies to see what we can do with this platform. I'm going to give you a quick look at call center for some companies. And again, you might have 100 users or 200 users or whatever, but actually only 10 or 15 or 20 of them are operating like a call center, a mini call center. So in this instance, the support frontline have had 4 calls today. There are 3 agents logged in to the system. 1 is marked away. There's an average wait time of 6 seconds before calls get answered, and they haven't missed any calls in the queue or anything like that. I'll give you an idea of some scalability on this, because this call center feeds into a stat center. So I have a customer of ours who are a case study reference site and are very happy to be used for demonstration purposes. This is their live platform. A company called Port West. They're based down in Westport, but they actually have offices internationally in lots of different locations. They have 387 users on the system. They have 785 devices. You can see some Microsoft Teams, some cell phones, 210 soft phones. So they'd be a lot more generic soft phones than Microsoft Teams, for example. When we go in and have a look at their call center module, we can see that Australia are not online yet, so they haven't had any calls yet. Charles Hughes Sales have had 29 calls. 1 call was missed, forward abandoned, average wait time of 14 seconds. We come down here, it gets interesting. They have 15 calls in France today, 6 in Germany, 2 in Greece, 6 in Italy. We come down, Spain 4, UK accounts 5, UK exports 15. UK sales have had 94 calls this morning. Click here. They have 9 of 17 agents logged in. Average wait time 7 seconds. 3 calls were abandoned. And then the USA aren't online yet with the time difference. So that gives you an idea of the scalability of this platform. There is nothing bespoke for this customer in our data centers. They're on the same platform as all our other customers. IP Telecom are across multiple platforms with a distributed architecture. Some of that might be a bit techy, but basically what it means is it's a living, breathing ecosystem like your 365 or your Google Apps. You're just paying for it on a subscription, kind of a per user, per month type thing, and everybody accesses the same platform. This call center module feeds into the stat center, which is used heavily by customers that want to be able to drill down into the numbers.
Is this all where all the reporting is in the
all the
stats center?
reporting, the KPIs, yeah. Like if you're running that kind of an operation where you want to know how many calls you're taking, how many calls were missed, why were those calls missed, were they abandoned in less than 30 seconds? Was the guy sitting there waiting for more than 30 seconds for a call to be answered? Is that acceptable? Do you want to change your internal SLAs? So there are you can run stats on inbound queues, inbound agents, inbound calls. There you go. So today, this company have had 193 calls, 151 were answered, 18 were missed, 24 abandoned, but 12 of those were abandoned in less than 20 seconds. So 12 people just weren't very patient, and then 12 in more than 20 seconds. So you can, these are just your summary stats. Answer rate, miss rate. Then what you can do is you can actually get into the inbound queues themselves, and we can apply filters. And this gives you the ability to look at each individual, the breakdown of each individual queue. So you can see that France had 15 calls, 10 were answered, 5 were abandoned. 1 was abandoned in less than 20 seconds, so 4 were over 20. So maybe they need more agents available on that France queue. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You want to see those calls, what's going on with them. So you can click into it over here on the little eye. You've got all your abandoned rates here, your answer rate, miss rate, abandon rate, average talk time, average answer time. When you click on the little eye, what it'll do is it'll drop down the list of calls, and you can see which 4 calls were missed or abandoned, and you can call them back. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's just the queues. Then you can get into agents. You can get into inbound calls. If you want to drill down into, this is where you've got a supervisor managing a team of 10 or 20 sales reps or customer service reps, and they want to know how each person is performing. So they'll say, well, look, we've done all these calls today, and we want to know. A second, clear filters. We want to know how each one is performing against each other. So you can see that, well, Anne-Marie was offered 16 calls and answered 15. She rejected or DND'd 1 call. So you can see she's a good performer. This one was offered 24, but only answered 9, missed 2, and DND. Okay, so there's a problem with this customer. So we need or with this agent. So we need to tackle that. So you've got some really important information there. And again, we're just scratching the surface here. Other companies prefer to use for outbound calls. They're more of an outbound call center. They want to see how many calls each agent has made every day. Again, I don't know if this one, if they make very many outbound calls, but yeah, you can see made 10, 5 unanswered, 5 answered. That can be quite important for the right kind of company. Things have changed a lot with GDPR. It's not able, companies are not able to just pick up the phone and make cold calls and stuff like that. But if you're getting inbound inquiries and then following them up with outbound phone calls, then that stuff is important. But this may be something that you want to tackle in something like CRM integration. You may want to look at pulling this in. Sorry, they don't have any integrations, but for us, we want to pull all that information into Salesforce CRM or Zoho CRM and have that integration to be able to drill down into all your business intelligence stats and stuff like that. I guess, look, today is just about giving everybody.
Anthony, we have a good few questions in the chat. Will we start to go through a couple of the questions? And we do have an awful lot of people on the webinar this morning. So if you don't have my contact details already, I'll be circulating with everyone that's come on the webinar. And we'd be more than happy to do a one-on-one demo to drill into it in a bit more detail with your individual company then afterwards. So look, we'll start tackling some of the questions I think here.
Sure.
The first one is, are there any reception solutions, something like Link Attendant Console?
Yeah, there's an Operator Console Pro there. Let me just throw that back up. I think I did at the start, but it might have been missed. Tab. So that's this thing here. The only thing to be careful of, so you can see we've somebody on a call there. So this is real time. The thing to be aware of is I would always encourage a company to get a handset for reception. You know, one of the traditional type, like we provide them. They're on our website. They're not that expensive. Even if everybody else in the company's gone soft, I would, and the reception is going to use something like this anyway, I would still encourage to get a traditional type phone with the sidecar, with all the buttons on it, with the extension numbers, with the lights. Because if you come in the morning and your PC isn't turned on, then this reception phone isn't on. So you're standing there with your cup of coffee in your hand, you forgot to turn it on, it's 9:10, so we're missing calls. Secondly, if somebody's out sick and you have a temp in, then the temp might not know how to use this, but they know how to use the phone. So I would always encourage them, look, get the desk phone as well, just for the sake of a couple of €100. You know what I mean? It's well worth having. But yeah, this is called the Operator Console Pro.
Okay. Next question: if the company is Teams, why would they have a soft phone as well? Is it just so that they have a DDI number? No,
because with Teams you'd have a DDI as well if you're plugging into this hosted PBX. The soft phone is an either or. So for some companies, they don't want to invest in the higher. In order to get the phone system plug-in from Microsoft, you have to pay extra. It's an extra module. It's an add-on module. And some companies might look at it and say, well, look, we've got 100 staff. I'm just taking 100 as a round figure. 60 of those staff don't really take or make very many calls. If they do, it'll probably be an internal call. And we can give them either a desk phone that they can have at home or in the office, or we can give them a soft phone app. For the other 40 users, they're heavy users. They're making a lot of internal and external calls, transferring calls to extensions, some call center-y type people. They need the Teams integration, so we pay the bit extra for them. So you don't have to go everybody.
Everything, gotcha, yeah.
And that's the beauty of this. Again, you could have somebody come in from one of the big proprietary brands, your Cisco Call Manager, your Avaya, and they'll sell you the sun, moon, and stars, and you don't need half of it. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of something like this. It's an a la carte type thing. You pick what you need, and you scale it up as you go. And we found that with companies over the last 9 or 10 months. They might have had 200 staff, but what they really needed was 25 to 30 staff with this solution that could answer the calls that were coming into the switchboard desk in the office where there was nobody because everybody was at home with lockdown. And what they were able to do was fire this up, do a divert from the PBX to the hosted, and they had 30 people with service and able to make and take and transfer calls and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Very good. Okay. Another one, are Port West calls coming back to users in Ireland or in their countries?
Both. So if somebody's ringing the call center in Greece, they're being answered in Greece. If somebody's ringing the UK, they're being answered in the UK. But a call could come into the UK and they say, well, actually, hang on a second, let me transfer you to Paul in Ireland. And they can actually transfer to his extension, you know, so that they're not different individual silos. They're all on the one phone system.
Okay. Again, this leads into another question. If a company has multiple locations in Europe, North America, and Asia, where is the location of IP Telecom with the AWS ? Would it be local to each region for quality of VoIP calls?
It's not for quality of VoIP calls. That's then we've got POPs in Australia and South Africa. The US is not a problem. We've got loads of reference sites there with offices in different countries around the globe. None of that is an issue. The call quality is down to latency between locations. So again, all of that is tested. Unless somebody comes to us with a really far-flung remote location, we'd have to do some testing on it. But to date, there isn't anywhere that we've got any issues with. In terms of where the calls are recorded in AWS, they're coming back to Ireland, so they're in the EU at the moment. So that's Amazon Web Services here in Ireland. So it's under EU data protection, call recordings, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Is it licensed by user or device? If by user, is there any limit on the number of devices?
There's no. How the billing is done, and this is something for StrengCom, but it's not even based on per user. It's based on groups of users, and it's not based on device. So in my case, I've got multiple devices, but I'm still only classed as one user. So a bit like with your Microsoft 365 or something. If you're paying for your user per month, you can install it on multiple devices.
Okay. On CRM front, does MS Dynamics integrate?
If you're using Teams, does the organic integration. We haven't done the full Dynamics integration as yet. It's on the roadmap for 2021, but you will get, if you're using Teams, then it's automatically going to integrate in because it's 365 into Dynamics. So you'll get the click to dial and the screen popping, which is really what anybody's looking for.
Yeah.
They're the key features for CRM integration. If somebody's ringing you inbound, you want the CRM to pop up and go, it's Louise from StrengCom calling me. She owes me money. You know what I
mean? Okay. Response groups. Do you have an offering?
Response groups. I don't know what that means. I need a bit more information. Response groups.
I don't know, Alan, if you want to maybe elaborate a bit more on that.
No problem. Thanks very much. Anthony, very interesting setup there. Appreciate that. Response groups in Skype for Business, we've got response groups set up on our servers. So when a call comes in, it goes to a particular group of people and then it rings around to them. If it's not answered, either serial, parallel, etc., then it'll go off to somebody else into another response group and then end up probably in voicemail or go around the house again. So so just wondering what it does, like you probably have a different name for it.
Yeah, call flows and ring groups basically. And you can drag and drop users into them, and then you can have cascading groups that goes from one group into the other. That's all, you can take it, but that's all there.
Okay, and if you don't mind, that's great. If you don't mind going back to the, excuse me, we currently have 2 sites physically, North America and USA, and both of those have their own Skype for Business on-prem, and with their own E1s or T1s coming into each site. So in that example, how would the IP Telecom be sort of set up for that? Would it be all coming back to Ireland, or would you have, because of the quality of the calls as well?
Yeah, look, we could do a couple of things there. It might be cleaner to give each of them their own instance, and they'd operate as 3 different hosted PBX accounts. Are they all using the same Skype for Business domain, or are they on 3 different domains?
No, we're all connected. They're all in the same domain. They've got physical servers in both Ireland and in North America at the edge, and front end servers in both sites. But internally, it's also internal Skype for Business calls, and then when they make and receive calls, it pops out locally in each of their region. Yes,
we've done something similar for a number of companies. We might set up a separate call with Brian, our CTO, on that for you, Alan, just to get in a bit more detail on the options. There is another option around direct routing, which might work a bit better for you there, which we offer too. But again, it's probably one we take offline.
Okay.
Louise, you might set something up on that, yeah?
Oh, really? Yeah. Anybody else wanted to ask Anthony a question? It is just an overview. This is a very brief overview. There's a lot in it, a lot in the platform. The key message was just to show you the integration with Teams. I'll be reaching out to everyone that has come on the webinar after this. But is there anybody else wants to ask Anthony a question while we're on?
Yes, hi, this is Eric in Science Foundation Ireland. This question was asked in the chat, so apologies if I missed it, but it's just about authentication and what happens if you've MFA enabled, and how does your system, in Office 365, and how does your system deal with that?
Again, that's one I'll need to take off to the techies, Eric. Is that multi-factor
authentication? Yeah.
I'll need to, if I can get a bit more detail, then I'll come back to you on that one. Yeah,
okay. I'll follow up with you, Eric, on that.
This is to do with the Skype for Business. Is there plan to move from Skype for Business to fully Teams in the cloud?
No, this is to do with Office 365. They have a generic offering, or what's called the Azure AD MFA. So they have that part of Office 365 for you to basically authenticate either by an app or by a text message or by a phone call, etc. Right. So when you're setting up a new user in the Microsoft Teams and you're adding it in, basically then you're making a connection to that. So, but as the admin, you're making the connection to it, and we're just wondering now if the MFA, how does that kick in? Does that kick in back to the user? But so there's a bit of a sort of a switch off MFA, set it up, then switch MFA back on again type of scenario.
Yeah, I think it's fairly straight. We did it for a crowd. I need to get with Alberto. Actually, he's our whiz on that, around the authentication and the auth token. There's something in my mind, and I don't want to give you the wrong information. So, but my understanding is it's fairly straightforward, because there's two. If you have a look here, devices, add a device. You can go for Skype for Business instead of Teams, and there you've got your. All we need is the username and region. But again, look, let me come back to you on this stuff.
Sorry, Anthony, if you're looking into that, it might be worth sort of rolling in a couple of queries. Yeah. So we're with Strengcom currently with Skype for Business, and we're doing an AD sync directly up to Strengcom. And again, I'd just be interested, related to the MFA, is how do you do the sync of the Office passwords? Are you linking directly to Office 365, or is there some internal sync software needed?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything internal. My understanding is the sync is done on the SPC side, but again, I'm the commercial side of this. You know what I mean? So
you can stick me down for that question as well, because I guess we're in exactly the same here as Toby here at Savills. I guess a kind of joint one for you, Anthony, and for probably Nicola, who's hiding in the background now, not what exactly what I'm going to say here. Where do you see this kind of commercially versus where I am at the moment on the Strengcom Skype for Business platform? And I've asked before, in terms of unifying to just a Teams platform, because obviously someone ate a bat and we all suddenly learn how to use Teams, which is great for IT people. But where do you see, are you kind of phasing out your platform as Strengcom, moving to this? What's the commercial landscape here?
It's definitely, Toby, something that we're looking at. We have been a Skype for Business user and adapter for many years. We're absolutely aware of all the customers that are currently on Skype for Business, and hence why we had this webinar this morning is to, because we've listened to you and you've told us that you've totally embraced the Teams side of things. So that's why this partnership with IP Telecom works really well and gives the end user the right experience. So commercially, we'll have to deal with each company on a one-to-one basis. So I know you deal with Nicola. So Nicola will have that conversation with you on the commercial side of things and how it'll stack up from what your current setup is on Skype.
Yeah.
Can I? Yeah, one more question from me in relation to your CRM integration, Alan here. Just with the Salesforce, you said click to dial and pop-ups. Do they happen in Microsoft Teams, or does that happen within your soft phone or your the IP Telecom solution, or does that happen within Microsoft Teams?
It happens like all Teams or the soft phone or anything is doing is operating as the device. So if you're in Salesforce, and I'm looking at the account for Alan, and your phone number is there, and I click on it, whatever you're using, if you're using your Teams on your desktop as your primary device for making calls, then that's what will make the call when you click on the phone number. We have customers that when they click on the phone number, the phone on their desk, their physical phone starts ringing. They pick it up, and it's on the other end, it's dialing an outbound call. So that's how that would work. Inbound, when a call is coming in, again, whichever your primary device is kind of irrelevant. But when that device starts ringing, whether it's the soft phone or the desk phone or whatever, on screen, your Salesforce will pop up, and it will be Alan is calling, and here's his account.
Okay, so that will create for the customer's account in Salesforce to open up.
There you go.
Okay.
So with the likes of Salesforce and Zoho and stuff, there's workflows that go further down. So and it's up to you what way you want to configure it. So you can get quite granular with it. And again, it's not my area, the CRM side of it. We have other product specialists on that, but you want to be able to try and drive the workflow and scheduling next activities and stuff. So when you make an outbound call, you click on the phone number, it rings the customer, you do your chat or whatever, and you hang up whatever device you're using, you hang up the call, the screen pops again, and it says, fill in the outcome of that call, or put in your notes. So you type in your notes and you hit save, and it pops again. Oh, shit, Jesus, this thing won't go away. What's it popping for this time? And it's a calendar, and it's asking you to schedule your next activity with this guy. So what we do is we drive down into the workflow of what way you want to do that. And at the moment, that's available on a couple of different CRMs there. And again, today is just to give you a look. If you want to get really under the bonnet, we can set up a further call, and I can get product specialists on, or whether it's CRM or whether it's the Teams. Then we can do something, and maybe it's a mini breakout group. If there's a couple of you there with the same kind of queries, then we can
organize that. Yeah. So look, guys, I'll just round up there because we've 3 minutes left. Thanks so much to everyone for joining us today. Hope you found it informative. So what I'll do is, most people would have my contact details, but please feel free to reach out to your account managers, Nicola and the rest of the team. And we'd be more than happy to set up one-on-one meetings with the wider IP Telecoms team and the support in Strengcom as well, to discuss your individual companies in a bit further. So today was just an intro really to their platform. So thanks so much for all your time. Thanks very much. Thanks, Anthony.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good day, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, lads. Bye.
Well done, Louise.
My God, that's so
superb. Come here. I was trying to reach out to you there about the slide.
I know I forgot to move on to the next slide.
No, not at all. It was, I actually